we're going to get started here in just a second, and like I said previously, this is not a night where I'm going to get up here and share for half an hour or whatever. This is the chance for you all to share. The floor is yours for the next however long it takes. All we ask is you try to keep it close to 5 minutes. So I'm going to pray, and then some very brave soul is going to be the first one to come up and share tonight. So will you bow your heads in prayer with me, please? God, I just pray over anyone who would even consider praying tonight, consider speaking tonight. Oh, we're praying. That's great too. But God, whatever you have placed in their heart, whether it be a word, a phrase, a song, a scripture, would you just give them the confidence now to stand up and share it with this group? Remind them that what you've been doing in their life is worth sharing with others, that you have been working strongly in this community throughout this year and this semester. I pray over each one of them that you would bless their words, that they would be your words through them. And again, I just pray for their confidence in their heart, and this would just be a night that would uplift us, that we would get to share just the incredible things that have been going on here. We thank you, and we love you. It's in your son's name I pray. Amen. Amen. Okay, now we wait.
Oh, snap. Thomas, you really ate on that first song when the beat dropped. You're crushing it.
Thank you.
Well, hi, I'm Sarah. I love change, I love trying new things, and I love going outside my comfort zone. And these are just a few things that have been getting me through this season of change and the change to come. In Nehemiah's story, I'm going to give you like the bare bones context, so you should definitely go back and read it. But they're rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem because they're under attack. And skipping a lot of context, they're working their butts off to put this wall up. And in Nehemiah 4:6, it says, "So we rebuilt the wall till all of it reached half its height, for the people worked with all their heart." And reading this, I can't help but think of how scared they were and how tired and probably really discouraged that they had put all this work in to get only halfway there, and they still had a whole other half to do. And they also knew how much work went into that first half. And so to think we have to do all that again, it just sounds discouraging and honestly scary. And if you don't know, I'm being kicked out, and I'm graduating, and I'm going to Nova. And I'm going to be so real with you, I am so scared, because I love you guys so much, and I don't want to start over. And I feel a lot the way that I'm sick, and so I'm a little emotional.
Sure, that's why.
I feel a lot like the Jews probably felt, knowing that they're only halfway through. And I've already done the hard work to build community here and find people and family here. And so the thought of doing it all over again sucks big time. But I've been trying to read through Mark since September, and I'm only on chapter 8. But in Mark 6, Jesus feeds the 5,000, which is a really cool story, and you've probably heard it before. But the disciples asked Jesus the plan to feed the crowd. And Jesus says, this is a teaching moment, he says, you give them something to eat. And he invites them in with him to serve and do the work with him. And later in chapter 8, it's almost deja vu because Jesus feeds the 4,000. He does it again, but a little less, you know what I mean? And again, the disciples ask, what's the plan to feed the crowd? And Jesus, he says, he has a little monologue talking about how he loves the crowd, how much compassion he has for them. And he hopes that the disciples would have already known the plan because they just did it. He had hoped that the disciples would regard his past faithfulness as a promise to meet their present need. And going into this new season, I'm holding on to this so tightly. And I'm gaslighting myself into believing this, even when I don't believe this. Because God has given me the most incredible community here. And so I'm trusting that he will do this again for me in Nova. And if you've experienced this kind of faithfulness, and you need to trust that, I hope that you'll trust that because he's done it before, he can do it again. And if you've never experienced this before, I hope that you can look at the people around you who have experienced it and gaslight yourself into believing he can do it for you. And I promise you're not misplacing your trust. But back to the wall, I think it's really easy to focus on all the things left to do in the second half. But in building that half, I learned how to be an inviter. I learned to ask intentional questions and how to love people well and show up. And I have all the skills from the first half that I built to build my second half. And so I'm using that as encouragement to build the second half, and I know it will be hard. I'm sorry, I'm snotty, I'm sick. I'm also ran out of tissues last night, so this is toilet paper. I'm being so authentic. This is just where we are. I know from the first half of the wall that the second half will be worth it. And I don't overlook the work that's already been done, and trust in God's faithfulness to provide. Know that He is going to give you more than you asked for, and He fulfills His promises abundantly. Change is still from God, and this is good, and that will be good. And I love you all, and I'm never going to take 5 again.
Hello. I love you all very, very much. I'm not going anywhere, so hopefully I don't cry tonight. But I just wanted to share what I had been reflecting on as a senior. And it seems like I shared for my very first Take 5 yesterday, and here I am sharing my last one. Throughout my 4 years at BT, this place has shaped me. I've spent more time in this house with you all than on campus in class or studying, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I worked construction my whole time here on buildings on campus, in Roanoke, wherever. And I've been on competition teams and traveled more than I ever have. But every trip, every week, and most days, no matter how long or hard, led me back here, back home. Every experience has impacted me, but I would be lying if I said this place didn't shape me. My first memorable experience at Virginia Tech was the first Thursday night on the lawn. Shout out 2020 and COVID class if yeah. Turn up! I love you. And that is a night that kept me coming back and inviting others to come with me. There are no other words to say than thank you. Thank you to Mike, Morgan, and Brandon, and my classmates, and my friends, and people that don't even go to Tech. The Breedens, the Breedens just came to mind. They continue to show up and love me well, especially at the height of COVID. Thank you for showing me that college and ministry can mix together beautifully instead of being separate like oil and water. Thank you for showing me that I'm never alone, even when I kind of want to be. Thank you for being a light and pushing me to be my best, even and especially when that meant pushing me to go to class. Thank you for this place and the fact that I've met lifelong friends here. Thank you all for the ways you show up and love others well. Thank you for giving me a home and a family. To the underclassmen, I probably wouldn't take any of my academic advice, and so I'm not going to give any. I have no idea how I'm graduating in 2 weeks. However, I have done one thing really well. I built something to last. And I'm not talking about anything physical, though I hope to continue to admire my work on 81 and West Campus Drive for a long time. I'm talking about relationships. I showed up most of the time no matter what. And if there's anything I could encourage you to do, not just in college, but throughout your whole life, is to show up and invite others into your space. Not just show up to the campus house or show up to a Bible study or show up to church on Sundays. You guys all do that really well. But I think something that has taken my relationships with people even further is that when I lived with Mike, I invited them into his house. And when I was on campus, I invited people into my dorm against rules. Wouldn't advise breaking rules. But invite people to where you are and show up to where they are. And I think that's the most important thing that I just wanted to communicate tonight. And I love you all, and I'll see you next week.
Scared to speak, so I got this. So I've been kind of thinking a lot about like what I want to talk about, and I ran this idea past Morgan a few weeks ago, and she loved it. And so, hi Morgan, I know you're watching. But I initially wanted to talk about like all the fun times and things from this year, and like I keep a quote list, but then after reading through the quote list, I realized that I can't say that stuff in live stream. So, yeah, maybe not. Thanks, Gus. And Mike. And Jack. But I compiled a list of things that I like to call the CCVT graces. And these are just things that I learned over the past year. Now, I like to joke around, but honestly, it's more truth than a joke. That I've learned more in this building and on this property and with these people than I ever did on that side of Washington Street. I could not tell you a single thing that I've learned or retained, but the stuff that I've learned here and the relationships I've made will last me a lifetime. So I just kind of wanted to share about those. So here at CCVT, we're just going to fire them off. I've learned about telling a better story. I've learned that comparison kills. To fight smarter, not harder, and to always keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. That's gonna, like, that one's big, guys. I've learned about how the first will be last and the last will be first. And what that kind of means is that Jesus is all about denying himself. And so when you kind of act like Jesus and deny yourself to see other people, you get rewarded in an unexplainable way. And I think that's kind of what like God meant when he said the first will be last and the last will be first. I've learned to have generosity like the vineyard worker. This is something we talked about in Bible study, about how people about how no matter what, like God, I don't know if y'all know the story about the vineyard worker, but it's basically where there's this guy who hires a bunch of people, but he pays the people who've worked the longest and the least amount of time the same amount. And it's kind of like how it taught me how like no matter how long you've known Jesus, God still loves you the same. And so that's been really cool. I've learned that he truly works everything out. Things I've learned to like shift my focus. I graduated Morgan's University of the Conflict Wheel. That was fun. I've learned from Mike what healthy relationships look like healthy romantic relationships look like between him and Carrie, and just like from talking to him and meeting with him, and that's been really cool. I just learned, another thing I've learned from him is just how to love people. Guys, that man can love people. Like no matter what, he loves, and I've never seen someone love people like the way he does. And that's just something that I'm gonna carry with for the rest of my life, and that like I aspire to be. Something Morgan taught me from the get-go was that everyone wants to be seen when they walk in a room. So why not be the person that walks into a room and sees people? Whether you've been there before or you're not. Whether you feel like you belong there or not. Walk in the room and see people. I learned so much from that girl about hospitality. And like, I remember walking into the first, to women's retreat and being like, whoa, like we're treated like queens. Like all of her little like details and stuff has just been so cool, and it's just showing up for people and seeing people. Jessica Breeden's taught me how to be a graceful woman, and just from the way she acts, about how to be respected, but also just be a God-fearing, Jesus-loving, faithful woman, and that's been really cool. I learned so much about sisterhood, and just like growing up, I was always one of the guys. Like I played in the dirt, played football, like didn't have many girls like growing up. And for the first time in my life here, I've had this amazing group of women to call my sisters, and I love them so, so much. I've learned that love embraced becomes love extended, and to show up, to pray to God to show up and help me to do the same, and surrender my life to Jesus. I've learned about good relationships with alcohol, and that, not that I've had any alcohol, just letting you know, but I just, but that I've learned what that looks like. And that's possible. I've learned that vulnerability is good and it can be celebrated. When I think I'm too much and too vulnerable, people actually like appreciate that. I've learned that I'm worth loving just because I show up and just because I exist, and how to create a welcoming space, again, from Morgan's hospitality. I've learned about inviting people to the table, and I've met so many beautiful and wonderful people here. I've learned from Sarah Rambo that finishing well isn't just about proving something to yourself, but it's actually using your time wisely. I've learned like so much about how to enjoy The Bachelor and The Golden Bachelor, and that I love it. I learned how to crochet. I've learned how to like tea. Like these are all just things that like I've just loved. I've learned about the beauty of asking someone to hang out, just to like, you know, pull the trigger and just be like, hey, you wanna go grab coffee? Hey, and the amount of relationships and the memories that come from that. I've learned that life is just real people loving Jesus. And this is what this group is. It's real people, real and perfect people who just want to love Jesus. And that every single person was made to worship no matter what. I've learned about the power of a smile and a wave. First time I walked through these doors for a Tuesday night Bible study, I was a frazzled mess. I was just like, I miss my mommy, and I miss home, and I don't want to be here. And Kaylee just stands up and goes, hey, I'm so happy you're here. I have a seat right next to you. 2 weeks ago, I learned that she didn't know it was me walking in. She just did that. And that made me feel so welcome and changed like everything for me. And it made me realize how welcome I was here and how loved I was. I learned that I love polar plunges, and forever till I'm not allowed to come back to retreat, I will be doing a polar plunge like anywhere. That's been awesome. I've learned how to put biblical things into human perspective, about how Jesus was a real person, so he understands like the feelings I'm going through. The Bible says that Jesus didn't endure something that we endure. Like, he endured everything. And so that just makes it so much more personal. And that the stories of the Bible and the heroes of the Bible, they all had real human experiences. They're not just some made up mythical creatures. They had lives. And that makes them so much more relatable. And so it's getting kind of long, so I'm going to wrap up. But I think the biggest thing is this year, my words of the year are diligence and courage. And man, God has challenged that. I've learned from Morgan that women belong in the church. And I never understood that until she was she said to me, she goes, I have a really hard time believing that our God, when I get to heaven, is going to be like, what were you doing telling people about me and ministering to people and loving people? And she just taught me about women in the church. And I learned how to place my trust in him, and that he puts desires on our hearts for a reason. And he knits everything together so perfectly and so beautifully. And over this past semester, I've been realizing that I've been called into ministry. Sorry, guys. But so I decided to follow that and be obedient to him. And I'm really praying that he rewards me for my obedience, because I'm scared. But next year, I'm heading to the Johnson University for Bible and theology and accounting, and in that I hope to be obedient and put my trust in him. And I'm gonna miss this place so much because it means so much to me. But I'm going because at the end of the day, when I realize what I'm passionate about, it's Jesus and people, and I want to learn how that works. And it's definitely not engineering. And that was hard on me. But something he's taught me is that maybe the piece of him is that we don't have to strive for the world standards and try to attain these unattainable goals of money and power, and that's measure of success. What if the peace of Jesus is just knowing that he created you for a purpose, and that you get to just dive into that purpose and enjoy life? And so in that, that's what I'm going to be doing next year. And I'm going to really miss you guys, and I love this place, and this place will ever be a home to me. And so whether you're going or you're staying, you belong here. Welcome home, Hokie.
I wasn't going to talk, and I really want to throw up now that I know that Morgan is watching, so I hope y'all have ponchos. But some of the things that Amanda had to say resonated with me, and now I have to say it, of course. So I'm going to share a little bit of my story and what I've been through and how I'm still here. And there's a question that starts all of this, and it was posted on Instagram, and it rung out to me. And the question is, will you remember me? And this is a question that I fought with my whole life. The idea of, am I worth it? Am I memorable? Am I worthy? And am I loved?
Yes.
Thank you, Alex. Within the last year... Alex, I'm trying to be serious! I'm kidding, I love you! Alright, so within the last year, partially because of Alex, funny enough, I've actually started to care about myself. And I've started to take care of my mental health, figuring out which chemicals in the brain don't want to fire right, and which ones do, and which ones don't want to work, and how I can fix the ones that don't want to work. And this question continued to become a ponderance, I think that's a word, that I'm starting to find the answer for. And that answer is when God says to us, how could I forget you? I made you, how could I forget you? And even when we can't love ourselves, he loves us. And it's not an I love you but it's an I love you and. I will never forget you. If you know me and you know my story, right out of high school I was briefly engaged to somebody across the country. It was like a whole thing, military things. TV. Thank you for laughing at that. Thank you. I needed that. This engagement was due to pure manipulation and someone who broke me down, tore me apart, forgot about me, and led me down a dark path that ended with my best friend breaking down my door and saving my life. This path has found better days. There are still rough days for sure. And it creates a lot of issues when it comes to trusting people and being terrified of people of leaving and forgetting me. While it's taken me a lot longer to actually start caring about myself, my friend that saved me that day and this community here, even you, Alex, have reintroduced me to this idea that I'm not forgotten, that I am worth it and that I am loved, that I'm wanted. And just like this community, where people are loved and wanted and welcome at the table, nobody gets forgotten in this community. If you find yourself asking this question, please reach out and say something. I'm open. The people around you are open. We're always here for you. Check on each other. Take care of each other. Help each other walk home. This is home. I don't even go here. But I'm still home. John 14:27 says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." Do not be afraid, and know that God will never forget you.
What's up, everybody? It's good to be back home, like she was saying. I'm happy to be here. Guess what I'm going to talk about today is just my experience leading a Bible study. I was blessed to be under the wing of Brandon all of last year, learning how to lead a Bible study, and I felt like, I think Amanda hit it on the head, like, school, like, because I'm told to do it, but, like, Jesus, I'll do that, like, any other day. But I was so excited for the opportunity to lead a Bible study, and we have these things called mission movement events, and that's where we go, like, kind of network and, like, trying to, like, convince people to join our Bible study. And before that day and, like, that week of mission movement, I was not outgoing. I was not, like a go-getter. Like, if you were Mike, I was probably, like, the opposite person of Mike. So it was really hard for me to go and reach out to a lot of people. And honestly, like, I kind of got lost in the comparison and, like, wanting to be like other people, like, wanting to be loud, wanting to get other people's attention. And in trying to be like everyone else, I lost who I actually was. And that led to such a, like, dark place in my life where I was sad. I would leave all these, like, I left carnival night, watermelon night, sitting at home upset. Like, why would I do that? Like, you know, at all these fun events. And it's because, like, I wasn't living out as God made me to be. So we get into the semester, and we get 3 people into our Bible study. So it's a 5 of us meeting every week. And then some days it would be 1 person, and some days we don't really know if we should print out study because we don't know if anyone's coming. And through that whole time, I feel kind of separated from myself. I feel like I'm constantly trying to achieve, looking cool, looking like other people, looking like a standard that I think other people have put on me, that Jesus never put on me. And it was a weight that I really carried for a long time. And then, I'm not going to get into it because then we'd be here for like 2 hours, but over winter break I got this opportunity to go to Circuit Riders, which is a Christian group in California, and absolutely changed my life, helped me to truly understand that God made me beautifully and wonderfully made. And one of the verses that stick out in my brain a lot is Ephesians 2:10. It's like God created us for purposeful works He prepared beforehand. And for me to understand that I was created for a purpose really changed the way that I operate and I think. Because, like, I am special. I have something. There's unique things about me. So now I go forward, and then just a little quick recap. Like, in those times of meeting, like, when I had 2 people, when I had 3 people, when I had 5 people, I always met at the same time. I always printed out the studies, even though it cost money. I always showed up on time, and I always stayed late when it was just those 3 people. And I think one thing that I think everyone just needs to be reminded of is just don't despise the small beginnings. Because even when I had 3 people in my Bible study, even when I had 2 people, I stuck with it. And then come around where I am now, we have 13 people in our Bible study, which is more than double. And it wasn't because I was going out and talking to people. This was a super cool moment. I was meeting on a one-on-one with one of my guys, and he was talking about how at our worship night, he invited 3 people to come, and without telling them, those 3 people came up to me and asked to join my Bible study. I never put that together. So because of me being faithful in what I had, the Lord blessed me and brought more onto it. So that comes along with this parable with the talents. The Lord gives us all talents to use. He gave one servant 5 talents, one 4, and one talent. And the one who had 5 talents, he used it and multiplied his talents. One with 4 talents, he multiplied his talents. But the one who had 1 talent, he was scared to lose his talent, so he buried it until his master came back. And when his master came back, he said, "You wicked servant, why didn't you use the talent?" And those are harsh words. I wouldn't want to hear that. But I think what I just got from that is the Lord's given us all gifts and all things to use, and he wants us to use it. He doesn't want us to be scared of what could happen. He wants to just take a step of faith and watch what he can do. So, yeah.
Watching other people be emotional makes me emotional, and the longer I sit here, I'm gonna get emotional. So I'm just gonna go before that happens. I haven't really. I think I spoke at One Take 5 night before, but I've never prepared anything. But I've been learning a lot this semester, so I thought I would put a list together of 5 things I've been learning most this semester. Oh wait, sorry. Talking about this stuff always just makes me emotional. But the first thing is that my word of the year is brave. For the past 4 years, I've picked a word of the year. This year's brave, and I was watching. I would like to say I read it, but I think I saw it on Instagram. And somebody was talking about how when you pray for something, when you pray, for example, for strength, the Lord doesn't give you strength the next day. He'll give you an opportunity to practice and become strong. And my word being brave and praying over that a lot in the beginning of the year, I've had a lot of opportunities to be brave. And learning, this is one of those lessons to learn the hard way, of I wish I could just look back at the end of this year and be like, oh my gosh, suddenly I got so brave. That's awesome. But I've had a lot of challenging opportunities, I think, to become brave, and it's been really cool to see how that works. And in the midst of it, it can be really scary, but that's what I prayed for, and that's what you're gonna get. So, and it makes me think of riding a bike, and when you're riding a bike and your parent, is behind you, and it's really scary, and they let go. You're like, that's not what you said you were supposed to do. But that's the only way that you're going to learn how to ride a bike without your training wheels. You know what I mean? You have to have a little bit of that push sometimes, and that's how you're going to fine-tune that skill. The second thing came up a lot in the beginning of this year, and that's brave faith. And that comes into being brave about talking about faith. And I think that I'm pretty open and happy to talk to people about a lot of things, but I grew up Catholic, and I'm not sure how much that plays into it, but I didn't talk much about my faith, I think. It was just oh yeah, I go to church, and that was it. It felt like, I'm doing the thing. But talking about my faith and why that's important to me has been really awesome, because a lot of people want to talk about that. And it's easy, I think, to write off and to sugarcoat things to make people more comfortable, or to say, oh, I can't do that, I'm busy this weekend. But instead of being oh, I can't do that on Sunday because I'm going to church on Sunday. Not hiding the things that you're doing and being ashamed of it out of wanting to maybe make people more comfortable. But it's no, I'm happy to go to church. I'm happy to go to worship. What are you doing on Thursday? Instead of just being, oh, I have plans. Oh, I'm going to worship. It opens the door to be able to have that conversation with people and be brave about that. And one worship song that we sang, and I, have heard a lot, is Great Are You, Lord. And the words from that really resonated with me at one point earlier this semester. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. And it's if the Lord has given us the opportunity to be who we are and to be in all these places with these people, why would we not use our strengths and our talents and our, gifts to expand the kingdom? And I found that really cool. This is number 3. This came to me while I was brushing my teeth one day. The difference between the word and the world is the world takes an L and the word does not. And I I know, it hit me, and I was like, that's like a line of like a rap song or something. And yeah, and I. You right? You can see it. And you're like, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna like patent that, so no, dibs.
Brush your teeth after you get up, because I'm trying to think about how.
It was an evening. I think it was an evening.
Oh, that's why.
And I was like, oh, okay. It hit me. And it was another goal of my year was to spend more time in the Bible. And the more that I've done that, I have recognized that it is a daily handbook for what to do. And I think once I got a translation that I could understand, and I was like, this is really awesome. And that also goes back to being Catholic. I never grew up reading the Bible, and this is not a hate. This is just an observation. And I did not read the Bible ever growing up. And once I started to, in a translation I understood, it made sense. And it like talks about everyday things, and it makes life so much better. And that was really transformative. Subtle plug, Katie and I are leading Bible study next semester if you want to join. Number 4 is that my value is not in my work. This was a very big lesson to learn, and I'm still learning it. But another thing I've heard, probably on Instagram as well, was, it was in the context of their story, but somebody was talking about how they were striving to work more hours and work more and get promotions, and he was saying that like his wife had told him like, you don't need to keep doing that, we're fine. Like money-wise, we don't need anymore. She's like, I'm not going to love you more because you keep working, because we have plenty of funds, we're comfortable, and the more you work is for you, it's not for me. And when I realized that that also applies to our relationship with our Father, was really cool. Like his love is already at 100% capacity. The other things that I do work related to feel worthy is for me, and it's for my ego and for my pride, and it is not to earn his love because it's already at 100%. That was really cool. And also your job's not coming with you to heaven. You don't get there. There's not a trophy case of all the things you've got. But there could be a lot of familiar faces. And so I think that's really powerful to learn. And then number 5 is the difference between faith and religion. And I learned that my faith is my relationship, and it's where I get intrinsic power from. And it's belief in Jesus Christ, and it's belief in your faith. And your religion is a vehicle to practice that. I think a lot of times pressure and expectations, obligations are put on doing these things and checking boxes on the day-to-day, or on Sunday or whatever. But CCBT has done a really incredible job of teaching me the importance of my faith and not my religion. Because also, like, your religion's putting if you put all the focus on your religion, you're putting your faith in the hands of other things you can't control. Whether Katie and I have been trying to go to church to this one place, and they keep changing the location. And if I depended on going there on Sundays, I would have missed out on a lot of faith because they keep changing the location, and then we go and the parking lot's empty. But by having faith, it's not dependent on other things, right? So my faith is in my relationship, and you can practice that anywhere. I learned that from middle school, where we volunteer with, said to some of the other middle schoolers were like, my parents don't go to church and I feel like I'm a bad Christian. And some other middle schoolers said, guys, you can read your Bible or you can listen to a worship song anywhere. I think I cried that day. I was like, that's really powerful, right? Because I was like, my gosh, that's word. Like, yeah, you can do it everywhere. You don't need your parents to take you to church. And that really changed a lot of my perspective. So faith and religion are not the same thing. And religion is a vehicle and a means to empower your faith. Those are the 5 things that I've learned this semester. Honorable mentions to friendships, boundaries, rest, confession, leadership, ministry. Those are a lot of other things I've been learning, so if you want to hear more about that, let me know. I love this place. I appreciate you all very much. I decided recently that I'm going to get rebaptized, and I'm really excited. Before the end of the semester. So if you would love to come, I'll let you know when it's going to be. Mike's going to do it here. We have a tub or a baby pool or something, so I can do it here. I told him, I said, I don't need much. We just need some water, I actually told him, I said, I'm probably going to cry while you do it, and we could fill the bucket with my tears. And he said that would work. So I'll keep you posted, but I'm really excited about it, and I'm really thankful. So, thanks.
I'm sure so many of you have heard me talk about what I'm about to talk about, but I just can't get it off my mind. So 1 John 5:2-4 says, "By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and obey his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not burdensome. For everyone who has been born of God overcomes the world, and this is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith." Recently, I've been studying the concept of obedience, and more specifically what godly obedience is and looks like. And I'm not doing this joyfully. I don't like the word obedience, and it really makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel small and icky and very defensive. And growing up, I thought obedient meant to sacrifice everything in return for nothing. Until I read the story of David, I didn't realize what godly obedience looked like, but now I do. David was Ruddy and the youngest of 8 brothers, and eventually to be crowned the king of Israel. But before his kingship, David just served as a shepherd. And to be a shepherd during this time meant you were to spend a majority of your time alone with your flock, and it was a significant amount of responsibility. To be a shepherd, you were responsible for being with your flock to provide them provision, guidance, and safety, maintain the sheep by leading them to fresh grass each season and shaving off their winter coats each spring. You were expected to be outside day and night, serve them as a calm and reassuring voice for the sheep to know and recognize, to keep the flock accounted for, and to risk your life on behalf of the flock by being diligent, dependable, and brave. Now, David was a man after God's own heart, and I encourage you to read the rest of his story, which is in 1 and 2 Samuel, because David was not perfect, but he had the desire to be obedient to the Father. Many times I find myself in David's story. I mess up, like really mess up by disobeying God, and I become scared that I'm too far gone, I'm too broken, and I'm unequipped to call myself a child of the King or to even show his love. But even in those moments, I remember I am called daughter, and I have a Father who graciously forgives and extends love through my obedience unto him. It's really easy to believe the narrative we write about ourselves when we mess up, but I encourage you to cling to the truth that you're not too far gone, and you can pick up the rhythm of obedience again and again and again. And I'm sure that watching the same flock every night, constantly being on watch from predators and searching high and low for new ground became really repetitive and exhausting for David. Just like waking up early to go to the gym, pulling an all-nighter to study for an exam, simply just showing up to class, or fighting against the lies of the enemy becomes repetitive and exhausting for us every day. But David remained obedient even in the mundane, day-to-day routine. David found the rhythm and obedience, and so can we. It was in the rhythm of obedience that David learned to sing and dance before the Lord, where he would later become a worship leader for King Saul. In his obedience to being a shepherd, he learned to be watchful and diligent of his surroundings, which equipped him to fight and win many battles for the Israelites. And it was in his obedience of being a shepherd that he gained the strength and confidence to rise against his enemies and eventually defeat Goliath the giant. I don't think David the shepherd reaped the fruit of his obedience immediately, and I believe the fruit of his obedience showed up abundantly when he needed it the most. In his highest and lowest moments, David reaped the fruit of his obedience. The Greek meaning of obedience simply means to trust. So I want to leave you with this encouragement. You will not reap the fruit of your obedience immediately, but you are choosing to trust in the Lord and provide nourishment, love, and care to yourself and others by choosing to say yes in obedience to the Lord today. I encourage you to ask yourself, how can I say yes to the Lord in obedience today? I love you all.
Hi, I'm Alex. Hi, Alex. That was beautiful. I'm glad you're here. I'm not glad I'm right up here actually right now. Usually I'm like pretty okay with talking in front of people, but like I've been dreading this for like quite a while. So I knew I was going to speak tonight, and I was kind of going over like what I wanted to say. And it started with, I was going to do like a high-low pop-off kind of thing, or high-low awkward for all the ladies in the room, like y'all know, like that was like our icebreaker. And I'm like, okay, this is good. I've got lots of highs, I've got some lows I can touch on, and then I have a cute story about s'mores I can do as my awkward. And then I felt the Lord kind of narrow it to just the low and maybe the story at the end, because I wanted to laugh. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. Like, I feel like maybe I should just like focus on these disappointments. And then I felt him narrow it even further to just one disappointment that he wants me to talk about tonight. And it resurfaced again at retreat when I was thinking about all the disappointments in my life. There was a breakout session that focused on this specifically. And one thing I'm really disappointed in with myself is the battle I've had with sexual sin for a really, really long time. And I wanted to be vulnerable and say that this is something that I struggle with. And a couple semesters ago, an individual came up here and said something similar. And if it weren't for that person's bravery, we wouldn't be friends. That person wouldn't be my confidant. I've seen how being vulnerable like this and showing struggles that are really like things that people are uncomfortable about and they don't want to talk about just leads to healing. And for the first time, I haven't felt scared to share about this. I've just felt peace and like ready for healing. And I know that this is like a first step for that, because this has just been something that's been shameful my whole life. It's been this just little pocket of shame that I've had like deep in this little like kernel of shame like in my heart. And I don't really feel ashamed anymore. And if this is something that y'all struggle with, or you struggle with something else, that like I would encourage you to find someone like a safe person. And that doesn't mean you have to do this, but you were talking about obedience, and I'm like, oh, that was me. Like that's me. Like I have to, because I knew like that was like the word on my brain was like obedience. And talking about like a word of the year, that was tenacious for me. And seeking after good things, like that was like my thing for this year, is like being bold and seeking after good things. And I feel shaky right now, but I'm like not crying. And I was crying earlier when I was like praying on my bedroom floor like earlier, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I was crying and I was saying this, and yeah, y'all heard me really excited probably. I was like talking to my little stuffed turtle, and I was like, yeah. but that was about the s'more story more, and he was like laughing. It was a great time. But yeah, in my brain, yeah. Don't take this from me. But I'm an open door, and I'm a resource. If this is something you struggle with, or you struggle with something else, I love yapping. I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. So even if you don't know me, I won't make it awkward if you don't want to make it awkward. That's all I have to say.
Sorry, y'all. I need to sit, or I'm gonna like pass out. Hi, everyone. Hi. So it's really funny that the song that Maddie picked tonight was Defender, because that has been my anthem for like 3 years. So tonight, if you relate to that song, that's what I'm talking about. Specifically, the lyrics that talk about when you thought you've lost yourself, God fights your battles for you. So that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. I never talk in public about myself, so this is new. Yeah. I first came to CCVT by accident. Fun story. I was looking for BCM because I wanted pancakes, and I walked in here and proceeded to intimidate Mike into giving me pancakes, and he was really confused. Yeah, so that's how I showed up here. Very grateful I made that mistake. The community here told me to come as I was, and that's why I stayed. I've been wanting to share a little bit of my story all year long, but I haven't been able to find the words or, frankly, the courage to talk in public to anyone about this. So here's a very small snippet of my story. When I first came to college, I was living in a state of constant stress, and although I am thankful for all of you, I feel bad for those of you who had to try to make the effort to connect with me back then. I showed up as I was, but in reality, I struggled to trust anyone. I was very withdrawn, and I panicked in large groups like this and couldn't do Thursday night. Eventually, and I frankly don't remember when, I decided to join women's Bible study, and that was a very big blessing. Since then, The community here has walked alongside me as I slowly regained my confidence. I am so grateful to those of you who have seen me at my worst this year, you know who you are, and offered your support. 2 years ago, I felt very stuck, and it was hard to see when or if anything would ever get better. And even up until recently, I've been struggling with just the pure chaos of life. Deaths at home, signing myself up for therapy, relationship struggles, developing a chronic illness, and a lot of other surprises that have completely blindsided me. And I actually intend to share all of this as an encouragement to those of you, potentially, who feel like they're dying on the inside and no one knows it. To those of you who think things will never get better. I am here to tell you that they will. And not in the like, oh, it'll all work out, don't worry about it kind of way, but in the beautiful, healing, redemptive way. So, I want to read you my favorite passage in times of uncertainty. You probably know it because it's pretty popular. It's from Ecclesiastes 3. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. I really like this passage because growing up in the church, I think it's often told to you that you have to have one emotion about the faith all the time. And that's not true. God wants us to invite him into our lives no matter where we are, just like Alex talked about, right? He wants to weep with you now and rejoice with you later. So never let where you are in life stand in the way of inviting God to experience it with you. This community has been a wonderful model of safety and patience for me. If you had told me last year that I would stand or sit up here, that I would share anything that's going on in my life, or that I would be known for being confident and silly, I would not have believed you. So if any of this resonates with you, or the song tonight resonated with you, I encourage you to, again, like Alex said, just find one person at least and tell them what's actually on your mind, what's constantly running through your mind every single day. It's very hard to feel like you're missing out on college because you're always sick or you don't even recognize who you are in the mirror anymore. But I'm here to tell you that God can turn the most sad experiences of your life into a beautiful story of redemption. It doesn't mean it will be easy or fast, but find the people who will commit to being present with you. So, thank you for being present with me. She chose the song. She's trying to make me cry.
I'm gonna sit down too. That was such a good idea. I kind of prepared something, but I might go off script because I'm really good at doing that. So this semester has been crazy, and although I have learned nothing new academically, as Amanda said, like, I don't know anything new from school, but I have learned a lot from God. If you don't know, I got brain surgery over spring break, and surprise, I'm alive. I was... Yeah, I was being super dramatic, thinking the worst would happen, but, you know, God was there, and I had, like, an amazing community praying for me the entire time, which I never thought I would have. Like, I'm a big overthinker. I was thinking, like, so my doctor's like, oh, it's only, like, a 10% chance you'll die. And I'm like, that's a big percent. Like, oh, my gosh. And then he was like, oh, it'll take, like, a month to recover. I was back in classes 2 weeks later because I was scared about my grades. So, yeah, I have not been an academic weapon, I will say that, but yeah, so my prayers were answered, and my support system, again, literally all of you, have been by my side the entire time, and I'm very thankful. I learned to be grateful for my friends and family, and have grown closer to people and learned to not take things for granted. I used to have like a not that good relationship with my mom and dad, but now I'm like crying when I don't get to talk to them each day. Like, you know, that little like chance of, oh, what if I don't make it, like makes you like realize, wow, life is amazing. And God's amazing for providing us with this life to like further his kingdom and to meet all like these people that just like love each other. And this community is just like, wow, like I have come out of my shell so much just talking to y'all. Like, it makes me so happy to be here, like, every day. I'd rather be here than go to school. Like, there's part of me that wants to drop out and just chill at the campus house all day, but, like, you know, whatever. So, well, you have to drop out too, so I see you. Yeah. Okay. So this semester, I realized I have never prayed more in my life than like I have this semester, and now it's a habit to thank God for this life, the people around me, and the way he has saved me, not just surgery-wise, but like in many other ways. He is my provider, and ironically, he has provided for me by taking things away from me. I mean, not just like seizures, which, by the way, is 56 days without a seizure. Yeah! Seizure was like 2 or 3 days, so this is like weird that like nothing's happening, but like that's a good thing. But it's weird because like it's gone, and he took away like relationships in my life, but I mean like he has opened my eyes to understand what is more important in my life. Therefore, I have like grown so much in my faith, the love I have for people. And, like, I feel like I know what my purpose is, and that's to serve him and to serve others, and serving others just by loving others the way y'all have loved me. Like, y'all just, like, show up, and, like, I love the squeezes at Bible study, the hugs and the tea, and just, like, the smiles and, like, the handshakes, you know. It just, like, it just reminds me of how much I am loved by people and by God, because there was... For a while, I didn't feel like I could be loved, because there's, you know, just, you know, the evil in your head. Yeah. So he took away people and situations in my life that were unhealthy and led me to understand and focus on things that are healthy and that matter more. I will say, it does hurt losing things you think are important. But I have also learned to trust what is in God's will and be at peace with that. I have accepted, like, God, like, saying to me, oh, this is actually where I want you. And I'm like, okay, fine, like, I'll do that. And then it's just so much greener on the other side. And it's not, you know, as bad as I make it out to be. So this is just what I want to leave you all with. Like, don't take life for granted. Like, this life is meant for you to, like, meet God, like, if that makes sense. I don't know, I'm rambling. If there is anything I have learned, it is that. And also, especially this semester, school is not the most important thing, so as much stress as it causes... As Sarah Rambo puts it best, God doesn't ask for your GPA when you get to heaven. Well, I heard it from her, so whatever. Yeah, like, grad school might, your job might, like, I know law school wants my GPA, but there's a part on the application where I can explain why it's low. So, yeah, brain surgery is a good excuse, but... But, like, the most important thing is how God has shaped you to be the person you are, just by accepting his will. So I just leave this question with you guys. How has God shaped you to who you are right now? And will you accept the way he shapes you over time? Because for me, it took a long time to, like, accept what he wanted for me. And I was like, you know, just back and forth through, like, that sin and shame, and then also, like, whoa, God, you were right. Or, like, you know, like, how you have that realization after you make a mistake, and your mom's like, I told you so. And, like, it's like, oh, Mom, you were right. Like, you know, God's like that. So, the biggest verse of, like, this whole semester for me has been Proverbs 3:5. And it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. Because, like, if you lean on, like, just what you know, like, on this earth, like, you're probably wrong. Because, you know, God's always right, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's just, like, amazing to see, like, He is my defender. Like, that song that we sang tonight is, like, you know, it's amazing. I don't even have the words to describe how grateful I am for everyone in this room. Thank you for loving me, and I feel like I'm finally at a place in my life where I can love others more. Because, you know, brain stuff sucks. There's a part of my brain missing, and I think it was the part of my brain that was, like, making me sad and have seizures, but, like, that's fine. But yeah, I love you all so much, and this is home. Like, yeah, that's it.
It's like a Spider-Man dance.
In case you couldn't tell, my name's Bryce. The thing I really want to talk about tonight is just something that's kind of been on my heart lately, because it's something that I struggle to deal with a lot, especially as we get to this time of the year when the semester wraps up. Because as each and every summer comes, it gets even more and more evident that I'm that much closer to having to start like an actual life, and I can't just live in my mom and parents' house and just, you know, get free like food and everything. So I gotta figure out what to do with my life afterwards. And I'm sure I speak for a lot of people when I address there's a lot of stress that comes with life. There's a lot of standards that people create, and we always feel like we have to live up to certain things. We have to perform a certain way. And then there's also moments when we don't quite meet expectations that we set for ourselves. We begin to wonder, is what we're doing worth it? You know, what everybody tells us we have a purpose, but is there really anything behind it? Is there, you know, is it really worth it to push through and to try to achieve that? And to anybody that has any sort of doubt about whether the purpose that God has for them in their lives is worth it, look no further than what any of the disciples wrote about the final moments of Christ's life, where for you he was betrayed by one of his closest friends, and for you he was being slandered and spat on as he carried a cross that he would later hang on through the streets of Rome, being cursed, probably having things thrown at him. And then he was hung up on that cross, and he bled not just for you, but for the plan that he has for your life. And I know when grades aren't what you want them to be, when situations in life aren't what you want it to be, you can get really caught up in wondering, is there an end anywhere soon? Is there a reason to this? And I can promise you that Christ would not have gone through what he did for you had he not had something planned for you. And I mean, oftentimes, you know, we get so many ideas of things that we want for our lives that we get kind of caught up in really focusing on what's best for us. But Christ will put you where you need to be 100% of the time. And if you find a way to not be where Christ wants you to be, he will find a way to put you where you are supposed to be. And I know it's hard to rest assured and to have faith in that. It can be very difficult to accept that, especially when he could be taking you somewhere that you don't necessarily want to be. But, I mean, look at all the people in the story of the Bible and all the things they went through. I mean, you see turnarounds from people like Paul. You see people like, I mean, Peter denied Jesus 3 times. And then he was given pretty much the keys to helping build the church that we now get to be a part of. Like, things aren't always going to go how you expect it, but in the end, God's going to put you where you need to be. You just need to have patience, have faith, and just allow the Lord to put you where you belong. So I'm very glad and I'm very proud of all of you for pushing through and being here, because I'm sure you've all had to go through your own trials and tribulations to get where you're standing today. And it doesn't matter how hard you may think it is compared to other people. Like, I know I get caught up a lot when I'm down. I get mad at myself for being upset when I know that there are people that go through way worse than I do. But everybody's different, and struggles for you in certain areas may seem like they're not that big of a deal. But if it's a big of a deal to you, it's a big deal regardless, even though some other people do go through more. So don't get yourself beat up on thinking that what you're going through is something easy and you should just overcome it like that. Like, you know, everybody's got their own stuff, and just allow the Lord to lead you through it, and good things will come your way sooner or later.
Jack's Lawyer, you want to go?
Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors.
I don't know. So I got a little ditty for y'all, if that's okay. So it was written by a really dear friend of mine, and if anybody you all goes to Belmont regularly, it's the worship leader there. His name is Chris McQuistion. He's a legend. He is awesome, and he wrote this song, and he showed it to me. Hold on. He showed this to me when it was unmastered, like it was just an audio file on his phone back in September, and he released it. Funnily enough, while Sarah and I were at the beach, which was really cool because it's called Living Water, and I was just like, oh, that's pretty cool driving down Highway 12. And when he wrote it, he had one verse in mind, or a few verses in mind. It was in Jeremiah 2, I'm just going to read verse 13. But it says, "For my people have committed a double evil. They have abandoned me, the fountain of living water, and dug cisterns for themselves, cracked cisterns that cannot hold water." And basically the song is talking about how we're all sinners. We all fall short of the grace of God, and that we're all sinners. We don't deserve it, but we get it through Jesus. And so I found another verse that kind of goes with it. I don't know if I assume he had this in mind because he's a pretty good songwriter. But it's John 4 verses 13 through 15, and it's Jesus talking to the woman at the well. And it goes, Jesus said, "Everyone who drinks from this water will get thirsty again. But whoever drinks from the water that I will give him will never get thirsty again. In fact, the water that I will give him will become a well of water springing up in him for eternal life." And that's basically what this song talks about. It talks about how we fall short of the living water, but we get it anyways through Jesus. And it goes a little something like this. We abandon living water, chasing after our own ways, dry and weary, always thirsty, wandering in this desert place. Living water, rain on us. Come and fill our emptiness with love. us up, fill us up with your love. Living water, rain on us. Come and fill our emptiness with the love that overflows. With the love that overflows. With the love that overflows. I don't know why, but that song, like when he showed that to me in the parking lot of No Mountain Coffee, it, I don't know, it struck a chord, yuck, and yeah, it was just something very, like, I don't know, it's been on my heart for months, and I don't know how to explain it. It's just awesome. But thank you guys, and I think it's only ever been played twice now live by me and by Chris. So yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right then, cool. All right. So yeah, my name is Jack. Hi. Yeah. So just a what? Just a couple things that y'all probably don't know about me. So I am from Blacksburg, like I live here in Blacksburg. My parents are David? I just had a stroke, wow. David and Jessica Breeden. And this might come as a surprise to some of y'all, but I'm actually not a college student.
Okay, it was shocking when I found out.
It was shocking. I wasn't going to say who, but I mean, I guess now the cat's out of the bag. But anyway, yeah, like I don't know if like some of y'all knew that or not. People didn't know I was not going to tech. Someone actually thought I was a drifter and like a homeless guy and like just came here for the free food.
That wasn't me.
That was not you. That was not you. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember. But yeah, so if I did go here to tech, I would technically be a senior this year, graduating. But you know, in a weird way, it kind of does feel like I'm graduating. Just because, well, I mean, kind of like a big thing is like some of my friends are they're graduating, and yeah, 2020, y'all don't know. But yeah, so it just kind of feels like I'm graduating because some of my friends are they're graduating, and some of them, you know, they'll go off like to different states and things like that. But also like in a weird way, it feels like I'm graduating because like in the past 4 years, I've undergone like a ton of character development. Like, not that there was anything wrong with the old Jack. You know, old Jack was cool. I'd hang out with him. But there's just like in the past, like I would even say like the past 2 years that I've learned a lot about myself and about God and about all of y'all that I don't know. It just like this year, it just really feels like I'm kind of saying goodbye to the old me. Like, you know, like I'm just moving on in life. But I really actually just wanted to take this time to just say thank you to all of you guys because you guys have you've been a part of these 4 years of my life in different aspects. Some of y'all are like close friends with me. I don't know. You started laughing. Sorry, never mind.
I'm like, I thought we were friends. That's
I don't. Sorry, you just started laughing, and I just thought. Anyway, some of you guys I'm really close with. Some of y'all I don't know that well, and some of y'all I haven't talked to before. But no matter like what our status is like with each other, like whether we're close friends or not, like I like you guys really have like impacted my life. Just by seeing like the community here, and like you guys just being like kind to me on days where you probably didn't know I was struggling, and you know, it wasn't that like I would, you know, if someone, I kind of have like this flaw of like if someone tells me like how's your day going, I just say, you know, it's fine, like all of us do sometimes, when although sometimes it's not fine all the time. But I just wanted to say, you know, thank you to all of y'all, and like to like all the people that come up here and say, you know, thank you. It's not like we're not like haphazardly saying it like a like an actor at the Oscars, you know, like thinking like their family, things like that, like thanking God, and it's like God's like, you were in a movie where like you had like sex in every scene. I'm not blessing that. but like I think but yeah, I just really wanted to say thank you to all of you guys. I'm still going to be around. I'm not like, you know, moving away or anything like that. But I just wanted to say that I love you guys and just thank you. So yeah, that's.
Absolutely nothing to say because I have absolutely no clue. But sort of in line with Jack, not that Jack, because I can't sing as good as that Jack. So, but I just want to say thank you to all of you, even though I am graduating from a small college. 30 minutes from here. Yes, I don't go to Tech. I'm the Radford guy, probably. So, yes. But even though through this past 5 years, yes, I've been here 5 years, it took me an extra year to figure out what I was doing. So, yeah, just wanted to say thank you to all of you because all of you have impacted my life in one way or another, no matter which way you guys have interacted with me. Even if it's just today, or if we met like 5 years ago, like I met Jack. I remember meeting you like at camp, one of the first weeks you guys ever came to camp. So, just as thank you, and you guys have truly impacted my life in many different ways. And just a quick thing that I've just been thinking about, just relax, have fun during this time, and during the seniors. I hope it's been amazing, and just you guys have had fun. And even though, yes, I do have like a 3.8 or 3.9 at this point, I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to brag. But that wasn't the point. I wasn't trying to brag. I'm in a field that I'm pretty much trained to be a professional learner or professional listener. So, pretty much what I was trying to say, even though I have that great GPA, this one quote sort of stuck with me. Even A's can be a trauma response, because even if you think about it, we all respond in different ways to what hurt us. And for some people, that can be all A's. So just be okay with learning, growing, and having fun. And even though I think I qualify as being that person who I am pretty much, all A's was like my trauma response. Just learn through that just to relax and have fun during this point. So, yeah. That's all I
The stool idea was really good. So like, I wasn't really planning on talking, but like a couple of things you guys said, like struck a chord, and I don't know, just like reflecting on this past year, I've like been in the same cycle of sin since I was 13. And that sucks. And like, it's so hard to deal with that, to deal with like knowing God and still struggling and falling from him and going back to him. And it reminds me of this song called Cycles. And when I tell, like, y'all look up this song. If you need to find it, find me after, because I swear it's the best song ever. But just like to put it simply, like most of the love I've received in my life has been transactional. My parents like were never married, so just from the get-go, I just didn't have that modeled for me. And you know, it was stuff like, are you doing this because like you love me and you're my parent, or are you doing this because like you want me to say the right things to the mediator so you get more time, or like who wins the court battle? And it's like, I know some of y'all can relate, but yeah, it's just, it sucked. It just didn't feel like real, I guess. Like a lot of the love I've received has been very like super, super intense, and then like completely drawn back. And like, just, that like played itself out through my own sin. And coming here made me realize that I thought that I had just like beat that cycle of sin. I thought I was done. And I was like, nice, going to college, you're done. Like, we did it, that's the end. And then I was like, nope, like God's gonna put you right back through it. And he's gonna make you learn your lesson again, because you obviously didn't. And it didn't really like hit for me about how serious it was about stopping that cycle until I realized that like God hurts with me and for me and because of me. And that's just, it's hard to think about someone like him hurting because of me and like with me. And that's something that I feel like I've been taught here a lot, that like I'm not alone, and just like such steady love in this place that I'm just not used to, you know, like nothing here is transactional. Like I've been shown like what a man is here and what a man should be, and I've been shown who a woman is here. And I don't think that, like, I grew up with like my dad mostly, and my mom not really able to provide. And so I think coming here, I didn't expect to see the way that impacts me as a person so much. But you guys are some of like the best women that I've ever met. Like it's just, you guys are amazing. The vulnerability that I've seen here for some reason, the like vulnerability has been like, you were talking about words of the year. I think that's becoming my word of the year, because I realized that because of love, like being so transactional in my life, I've never felt like I could just be vulnerable and just be loved like how I am. And that come as you are is so, like, I haven't really felt it here even until this past like 2 months. And it's just asking for help for anything has been such a foreign concept, and it makes me feel so guilty, and it makes me feel like crap, and that like I owe people something all the time. And it's like, it's just really hard, but I just don't feel like that here. Like asking for food to go do stuff with someone, and just like asking for help on how to build like my own reality is like something I've always felt guilty for doing. And here it's like, you guys are so willing to help, and it's like, it's just beautiful. And I just think that it's really funny that the people that are struggling with the same demons as you are the ones that are really destined to be your angels. And like, just thank you. Thank you guys. That's it.
Alrighty, I'm gonna make this as brief as I can. My name is Charlie. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Charlie. I've been in school for quite a while, so I'm gonna share 5 quotes that I learned through undergrad, parts of grad school, that I hope you all can take away. And 0 is a number, so if you don't take anything away, that's perfectly fine. 1, so I learned this from Faith. Strive to be known well, not well known. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You don't need to be the popular person, make the popular friends. Jesus didn't. I mean, his own people killed him. Number 2, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. You all are students, so you all try to do very, very well in your studies. I know a lot of students, if they don't get 100, they start, putting themselves down. It's okay if you guys don't do, the best in whatever you guys are doing. I know it's really difficult for you to accept that, but as I learned from my PI, you can't serve 2 masters. You can't serve grades and you can't serve God at the same time. 3, negative is normal. Now, negative is not successful, but it's a part of everyday, human experience. Everyone goes through some sort of negative spell. Why do I share that? Because that's kind of, kind of degrading. Well, as a student, I feel like we go through more negative spells than we do positive spells. For me, us as Christians, we can find the Lord during that time. I think the Lord gives us these, negative times, and He won't give us something that is more than what we're capable of taking on at the time. At the time, it might not seem like that case, but as you continue to stay faithful, I think you'll find that to be true. 4, forgive the inexcusable. I've gotten to oversee a lot of students, through my department for various reasons. A lot of times I see a lot of students have beef and they don't get along with each other for the smallest of reasons. You all are students. Life moves very, very fast as a student. Do not hold on to things as deeply right now. It's not that deep, especially as you move on and you grow into be, young adults, you'll find that's not the case. And 5, this is kind of a weird one, but I'll explain it momentarily. Equilibrium is at the highest entropy. Now, I'm not here to teach you, maybe one person might be able to get that, but I'm not here to teach you quantum and mechanical thermodynamics 1 because I don't really understand it well enough. But another way to say it is equilibrium is at the highest amount of chaos. Now, I think for the normal person, that does not make sense. Scientifically speaking, yes, this is true. But I think there's another interpretation as a Christian. Equilibrium, we can be at peace when, our lives can be seemingly at our worst points. For me, personally, as a student, I've been able to draw closest to the Lord when I go through these trials. When life is going very, very well, I tend to draw away from the Lord. So in a way, I feel like it's God kind of pulling you back. And the Bible verse I can kind of share with this, which I've been taught by a mentor, is Philippians 4:13, but I'm going to share it the way that he shared it to me. I can be content in all situations through Him who gives me comfort. So again, even at your lowest points, the Lord is with you. Seniors, congratulations, you guys have done a great job. For those who have not yet graduated, you all are doing a great job. Continue to do well in your studies. I'm really proud of all of y'all. Thank you.
Thank God someone was going to go after me. I really didn't want to be the last one. That's just because I didn't know if what I was going to say was going to be good enough, so I didn't want to leave you guys with something bad, but we're just going to go with it, okay? First of all, I want to say that everyone was speaking really beautifully before me, and just want to shout out to y'all. I also wrote my note for this on my computer, and it didn't transfer over to my phone, so we're going to just freeball. What I wanted to say is, what God's been teaching me this semester is that, God answers prayers, and sometimes He answers prayers in a way that you don't want Him to answer, and you're like, God, I was really kidding about that one. Really, are you sure about that? But He does. He always answers prayers, and He's always listening, even when you think He isn't. And so I've been trying to pray a lot this semester, and just lean on Him. And one of the things I started doing was I started writing prayers, and so every other day I do blessings because we can't have enough of those. And then on the opposing days I do things that I kind of need, or some prayers for healing, all the good things. But I've started trying to do that so that I'm still giving God the credit for all the things He is doing, all the things that I maybe want Him to do, or give Him a little suggestion. That's besides the point. But I just wanted to say that God is here for you, and if you want to write down prayers, that's also cool. My sister always asks me, and she always goes, if you write them down, how does He hear you? He's always listening, He's got it. So if you write them down, He's still got you. But yeah, lots of love, y'all.
Hello to all, and to all, hello. I'm Sephirina. I'm a senior. I'm
might be graduating, please God. But I wanted to like put on my business hat and say like advice that really, really helped me during my undergrad. And you can like put it in your back pocket and maybe you'll relate now, maybe you'll relate later, but it just like, it has really helped me. So I wanted to talk about how to deal with burnout or how I've dealt with burnout. I want to talk about how I have found community and how I've tried to shape community. And I want to talk about how I have dealt with imposter syndrome. And all those three things has been in like every year of college. Like it hasn't gone away. And so these are the ways that I've tried to like mitigate it and help it out. So hopefully it helps. Maybe it doesn't, but this is how I've done it. The best advice I got in high school for college was to treat school like a 9 to 5. And I got this advice from a teacher that was not a good teacher. And so I was like, this advice is gonna suck, but I'll put it in my back pocket. The way I've done this is I'm gonna do work and do my classes and do all the things I need to from 9 to 5. And I'm not gonna leave campus until I have all of my work done. Then when I get home, I don't have to worry about anything. My room does not become an office and I'm able to put work aside and school aside. And that might not work for you, and there are exceptions where it's like you have to work on something until the middle of the night. But if you are working on college stuff, school, work, anything, from 8 in the morning until 2 a.m., you're gonna burn out so fast. It is a recipe for disaster. You're not gonna make it to graduation. Like, it's not gonna end well. And so that's how I have mitigated it. That's how I've tried to work it out. The other thing is you need to take breaks during the day. If you are constantly working, it's not gonna end well. If you are eating all of your meals at your computer, it's not gonna end well. If you don't have enough time to spend 15 minutes eating your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner without your computer or something what you're working on, there are bigger issues. You need to have at least 15 minutes where you can eat, where you can kind of replenish yourself and rest up before you tackle the next thing. The other thing is whenever I am at school and whenever I'm in business mode, I don't have any social media. And that's because my freshman year, I was super lonely. My relationship with work and school was not great. I did not have good social life boundaries, and I was on my phone so much. If I was getting paid real money for the hours I was clocking in on my phone, I could have paid rent. Like, I was on my phone so much. And if you don't like your relationship with your phone, you can change it. Like, it's not an end-all be-all. You do not have to clock in like 5 to 8 hours on your phone every day. If your daily average time on your phone is a high number, look me in the eyes, you are allowed to delete your social media. I do not have Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or anything that I can scroll on because I know as soon as I get home, I'm laying in my bed and I'm gonna have my phone like this. It has been the best thing for me in college to not have social media when I'm at school. I'd re-download it as a little treat, but it is like the best thing that I can recommend for if you don't like your relationship with your phone. The next thing is building community. There are more lonely people in this room and in your classes and in your dorms than you think there are. And there are hard ways of making community, I'm sure you all know, but an easy way of making community is to invite people into the things you're already doing. I go to the movies all the time, and I invite people to go to the movies with me. And sometimes they show up, and sometimes they don't. You can invite people to the dinners that you're already going to go to. You can invite people to the grocery store because you know you're going. There are small things in your life you're already going to do. Just invite people into them. And sometimes they'll come, and sometimes that's great, and sometimes they won't. But don't stop inviting people in. The other thing is share your joy, but also share your sadness. Come into each room authentically, and this is something that I have learned from the queen herself, Sarah Rainbow. If you are walking in on a bad day, let people know. If you are walking in on a good day, let people know, because you living authentically makes room for people to love you well. The other thing is invest in your people in this place now. Go all in on the friendships you have now. Don't let you succeeding doesn't matter if the people beside you are failing. You have to love them well enough. You have to pour into them enough. And that's not saying that they're like you, they are your responsibility, but don't ignore the people beside you. The third thing, and I'm gonna wrap it up, is imposter syndrome. Y'all, I have a weekly meeting with my boss. His name is Russell. And there's like 5 minutes before each of our like weekly meetings where I just have a blip in my brain of like he's gonna fire me. Like I know that like this is the week he's figured it out that like I can't work here and like I'm not cut out for it. Imposter syndrome will eat you alive if you don't tell people about it. If you don't have people pouring into you saying like, no, you can do these things, it will eat you alive. I tell my boss Russell probably once a week of like, you can fire me if you need to. Like I understand if I'm not cut out for it. And being authentic and showing up into those spaces authentically lets my boss Russell tell me, yeah, like sometimes I think I'm not cut out for it either. My boss Russell, like showing up into places authentically lets other people show up for you authentically. It's a weird concept and it's very brand new, but yeah, it has been really good to tell people like, I don't think I'm cut out for this. And in my major saying like, I don't think this is the career for me, and letting other people tell me, no, it is. Or like, it is because of this. So let people know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and it'll lead to really good stuff. So yeah, thank you so much.
Should I take the stool up? Hi everyone. If you don't know me, I'm Thomas.
Yeah!
I thought I was gonna get a hi, Thomas.
Hi,
Thomas. I'm famous. I'm a junior studying engineering.
Yes, Thomas. Hey, STEM.
I wrote all this down before, but you can see no notes. I'm trying to speak from my heart and hope God speaks through this. The first thing I want to say is really like I think maybe first time in front of everybody, but I'm truly so thankful. Sorry, I know there's no mic. I'll speak up. I'm truly so thankful for. I'm sorry, guys. This is a little. I'm really thankful for all of you, for this community. This is really the first time in my life that I felt I've truly belonged in a Christian community, and that's meant the world to me. It's just been really important for my growth, and because of that, I want to share a little bit of my story tonight for the first time. Just kind of let you know how I came to CCBT and what God has done for me through that. For the very beginning, I was born in Texas. My parents immigrated to the US from China. They became Christians after they came to the States, and I was really blessed to have that Christian education growing up and being in a very loving Christian family. Of course, with being a lifelong Christian, there's ups and downs, and you really have to come to your own terms with your faith and reckon with that and make it your own. And I had various ups and downs throughout that process, but ultimately in the end, something was missing, and I never got baptized, and COVID hit. And that was during my junior year of high school. So 2 years later, 2021, I come to Virginia Tech as a freshman. Honestly, I was pretty lost. I didn't really know what I wanted, what I was doing. Tech, I didn't know if I really wanted to be here. And in terms of my faith and who I was as a person, I wasn't very proud of myself. I felt a lot of shame. I had thought about and looked into these different campus organizations, and I wanted to grow my faith. I wanted to try to understand what it was I actually believed. I was really scared to be seen, to join those groups, because I felt like if I was known by people, they would see me and they would judge me for not being the Christian I was supposed to be, or being who I should be. They would force expectations or pressure on me, and I would have to change myself or do things that I wasn't ready for. And that fear really kept me from getting involved at any particular group or campus ministry. I dipped my toes here and there and tried not to let people really get to know me. Towards the end of my freshman year, my dad helped me look around the Galber Connect and see some of the campus ministries, see if there's a group I can try again. Found this neat group called Christ Church at Virginia Tech, and he was like, "Yeah, this place seems really great. Go check it out." It's like, "Okay, I'll go." So, I don't know if you know this. The first time I was here was around 2 years ago, and it's end of my freshman year. I came in through the back, and I sat in the back, wearing a mask because there's so many people in this tight space, and isn't anybody worried about getting sick or?
God's protecting us.
That's right. Yeah. And honestly, first impressions, I came in, everybody was laughing and joking and talking to each other. I was like, are these people serious about? So stay with me. I'm not trying to get out. And yeah, I'd always thought in my life, when we come to places of worship, I guess things get solemn. We're really thinking about God and it's worship. And here's this group of people. They're just laughing and joking and shouting, and it's what's going on? There's also something about that. There's just there's some kind of authenticity there, and decided that I would keep coming back and trying to see a little bit what this was about. This was very gradual. My sophomore year, I started to come, check out a Thursday nights, watch a couple of live streams. If you've ever heard of parasocial relationships, that was actually a little bit of I learned about these different characters in CCBT. It's a little strange. I think, there's this funny guy named Mike, and he really liked coffee, and but also he's the way that he talked about loving each other and showing love, and the way that even through that camera, I saw that, I think it was an iPhone at the time, or the way that I saw he expressed his love was it felt really real. And then I came in person, come through the door more and more for Belmont, and Kaylee and Caleb, you guys ran that co-ed Bible study, and that was so just starting to come little by little. And I all of a sudden I felt myself I was comfortable being here, and I feel people see me, they're gonna say hello, give me a hug. It was last semester. The theme was unknowns. Basically, everybody has a story to tell, and that story matters. And there was this, these photos on the fireplace here that they strung up. Mike would take some photos and put it up. One Thursday, Mike took a photo of me, and the photo came out of the little camera, and he took it up. And my photo was there among all these beautiful faces and just in this community of people. And it's kind of a small thing, a photo being there. But to me, that was a sign that I've been seen. And like someone saw me and took a picture, and like I can be seen like as part of this community. And before I would have been afraid, I would have felt like I'll be judged, there'll be expectations. But you know, sitting in the front row looking at my photo, like all I felt was unconditional love and acceptance. And I just, like, I can totally imagine in my mind, like Mike or Morgan or Brandon or Kaylee, Gus, Annalise, the Katies, like Jack, Aiden, Alex, like, you know, all the people in the back too, like just so many people here. Like, for the first time I could see them going up to my photo and like walk up to it, you know, maybe like point at my photo to say, "This is Thomas. I love him. I'm proud of him. I'm completely confident you guys would say that for me." And recently people have been talking about like my talents or but like even without that, and even when I was not known for that, like you still loved me. You showed that care to me in so many ways. I really, without me doing anything, I just showed up, and that made me think maybe God also sees me, Jesus sees me, and he would say, "This is Thomas. I created him. I love him. I'm proud of him." And that was sort of the missing piece for me, is I didn't really think God actually accepted me as I was. So some of you know about this, but I want to share that I'm going to be getting baptized in this semester. It's been 21 long years, and it just means so much to me that I can stand up here and say that to everybody. It's not as though I fixed all my problems. I still feel like very broken in many ways, and I have so much room to grow and to love people more and to grow closer to God, and many questions, doubts I'll have for the rest of my life. But what CCBT has done for me is I have the confidence to now say, God loves me, I've been saved, and I'm going to follow Jesus for the rest of my life. And I'm going to stay with this. I've been so inspired by all of you, and just inspired by being part of this community of faith. And I want to share that with everybody. And so I've had the confidence to decide. And so just thank you all so much again. And I think if I'm going to say one thing that I've learned from CCBT, it's God loves us. God loves me and God loves you. And we see that in the ways that we interact with each other. That's so good. I pray that that never changes about this community. And if anybody here feels like the freshman me, you're like checking this place out, you don't know much, you feel like you could never be accepted, I would also just encourage, like, you'd be surprised, you know, come back, just sit here, and from experience, you could go a year, 2 years, nobody's gonna pressure you to do anything or be a certain way, you could be yourself. I think it's just so awesome about this place. So thank you everybody so much.
here with a pounding heart, but I just want to say that I really love and appreciate all of you, and it's really beautiful to see the way that God has truly grown all of you in these past 2 years that I've been here. I've seen the way He's worked in all of you and the ways that He's just made you guys so much more beautiful in faith. And it's kind of pained me because I've been going the wrong way. And it kind of, just all the things you guys have been saying tonight just reminds me of something that someone once told me. And it's that we should not remain anonymous in our sins, and we should not remain in the darkness, for that is the place where the devil lies, and that is where he wants to keep us. He wants us to remain anonymous in our sins and to keep hiding. But the light has overcome the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. And so we should not remain anonymous in our sins, and we should be bold, just like everyone else here has been tonight, to be so willing to share. And so just the importance of vulnerability is so immense, and I praise the Lord that all of you have had that ability. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm just gonna, I prepared something completely different, but, Alex came up here and said some cute little things, and I think this is a story I've told before, but I want to share again, because I think just hearing someone talk back to you and say, "You're forgiven," is very powerful. So I wish I had written something out, but I did not. I was the person who got up here like several years ago and said, "Hey, I'm a sinner." And when I was in middle school, I discovered porn. As like a 12-year-old, didn't really know what it was, but you look at that and you're like, "That's pretty good. I like that." But I knew it was wrong, and it took me a while to like break free of that. But even once I didn't tell anybody because I was just so ashamed for so long. And when I finally did actually talk about it, I was at this little like youth camp, and I was speaking to like the counselors and the other campers there. I might have been like 16. So it was like years, but I was still like holding on to this so much to the point where I was like shaking trying to talk about it. Much like now. But when I came back afterwards, I opened up my Bible, and this is a horrible way to like study your Bible, just be like, "What does this say? Let me figure it out," and just open it up to whatever. But this time it worked out. And I opened up to John 8, and it's the story of Jesus talking to a woman who is caught in adultery. Or really, he's talking to the religious leaders that are accusing her. Because they're about to stone her, because according to the law, she deserves to die. And he kind of gets in front, and they're kind of testing him. They say, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of adultery. The law of Moses says to stone her. What do you say?" They were trying to trap him into saying something they could use against him, but Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his finger. They kept demanding an answer, so he stood up again and said, "All right, stone her, but let those who have never sinned throw the first stones." Then he stooped down again and wrote in the dust. When the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest, until only Jesus was left in the middle of the crowd with the woman. Then Jesus stood up again and said to her, "Where are your accusers? Didn't even one of them condemn you?" "No, Lord," she said. And Jesus said, "Neither do I. Go and sin no more." I think when we talk about our sins, it's really nice to read the whole "I don't condemn you" part, and really hard to read the
go and sin no more part, and that takes a lot of work and it takes community. Like, I'm so proud of y'all for getting up here and talking about it, because it's so hard. And I continue to mess up. I can happily say I've never gone back to those sites, but the mind is a powerful place, and once you've seen those things, it is so hard. We are all sinners. That's just part of our nature. But every single day, whenever I come to Jesus, like, oh, I messed up last night, or what have you, yesterday, last week, I've never been met by anything less than perfect love. And it's not a love that says, like, yeah, you can still hang around. Like, you're not like a washed up loser in the court of God. It's a love that says, no, I love you, and you have dignity, and you have a place here, and I treat you with respect, which is, like, crazy, because he's God. And there's another verse I want to read, Isaiah 61:10. I am overwhelmed with joy in the Lord my God, for he has dressed me with the clothing of salvation and draped me in a robe of righteousness. I am like a bridegroom in his wedding suit, or a bride with her jewels. Yeah, you're clean. You're forgiven. You are draped in the robes of righteousness, and you look dang good in them, okay? That's all I really wanted to say. I love y'all, and as a community, like, it's gonna be hard work, but we're here together, and we've got a really good Lord. Yeah.
Any last second things? I won't stop you, I promise.
Yeah, I'm good too. Yeah, no, I'm.
You're
Yeah,
okay, actually.
yeah, okay. This is gonna be. I'm gonna speed run this because it's 9:24. I'm Gus. It's nice to meet you. You guys can do better than that. Come on, come on. No. There we go. Hey, I just wanted to. Most everything I was gonna say has been said better multiple times by people already tonight. So I just want to share one of my favorite Bible verses that I've been studying a lot this semester. But it is. I didn't plan on saying this, so I hope I have it memorized. But it's from the 2nd chapter of Paul's letter to the church in Philippi, and it goes, "Therefore, adopt the same attitude as that of Christ Jesus, who, existing in the form of God, did not consider equality with God as something to be exploited. Instead, he emptied himself out by assuming the likeness of a man in the role of a servant. And when he had humbled himself through obedience to the point of death, even death on a cross, it is because he has humbled himself through obedience, even death on the cross, that the Father has highly regarded him and has given him the name that is above every other name, so that at the name of Jesus Christ, every knee will bow on heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is King of kings and Lord of lords, to the glory of God the Father." That's just really beautiful. I love you guys. I'm proud of all of y'all, and I hope you have a great summer and life in general.
Well, tonight was all about you guys sharing, so I'm not going to add to any of it. I'm not going to say another thing. All I will say is that if something someone said resonated with you tonight, follow up with them. Go talk to them. Let them hear about that. Share with how much it meant to them. I'll leave it at that. I'm going to speed run announcements and get you guys out of here, I promise. The only things that really matter